those altcoins are 10x to 100 to 1 levered. And so all the leverages in the altcoins and most of the volatility in Bitcoin comes from the altcoin leverage. The Bitcoin market isn't nearly that leveraged. People that are buying Bitcoin are buying Bitcoin as a long-term store of value. And so they're generally buying it to hold it forever. Bitcoin is succeeding. It's succeeding faster than any monetary economic idea in the history of the world. It's gone from 0 to $1.4 trillion in 15 years. We've got 28 spot Bitcoin ETFs active today. They're active in Australia, in Hong Kong. They're active in Europe. They're active in South America. They're active in America. Those things are marketing, legitimizing, and spreading, and they're creating a channel.
Welcome to our channel. Michael Saylor begins by highlighting Bitcoin's unprecedented growth. In just 15 years, Bitcoin has grown from a nascent idea to a $1.4 trillion market, without any central organization, marketing, or traditional support mechanisms. This rapid ascent underscores Bitcoin's unique appeal and the powerful forces driving its adoption. One of the primary drivers of Bitcoin's growth is the spread of information. Saylor points out that in the past, it would take decades to reach a large audience through traditional educational methods. Today, platforms like YouTube enable millions to access information about Bitcoin instantly. As people learn about Bitcoin's advantages in wealth protection, savings, and wealth creation, adoption increases. This educational wave is reaching individuals, families, corporations, nation-states, and institutional investors. Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
Bitcoin is succeeding. It's succeeding faster than any monetary economic idea in the history of the world. It's gone from 0 to $1.4 trillion in 15 years without any support from a company, without marketing, without anything. So it's growing. It's going to continue to grow because of the following drivers. One driver is just education. Information spreads. Like you said, 10 million people can watch a YouTube video. 20, 30 years ago, if I retired and I taught college and I taught 1,000 students a semester and I did it for 20 years, I might get to 40,000 people. Now you get that many a week, while you're sleeping. So information is going to spread. And as people realize this is a safer, better way to protect their wealth, to store their life savings, and to create wealth. And as companies realize it, you're going to see adoption by individuals, by families, by corporations, by nation states, by governments, by institutional investors. That just happened. That is happening right in front of our face. We're watching it every day. There's $100 million or more flowing into the ecosystem. So the second thing that's going to drive adoption is regulation and regulatory clarity. As regulators, like when the House of Representatives and the Senate vote pro-crypto, pro-Bitcoin, and if the White House says we are in favor, that's sending a signal to the establishment that traditionally is very conservative. And people thought, well, it's tulip bulbs. The deniers, they go away. The skeptics go, the government's going to ban it. Well, they go away because if the government's embracing it, then the deniers are out of consensus. The skeptics are dismissed. And now you're into the traders. Well, should I buy it? Should I sell it? Well, that's a big deal to move from skeptic to trader. And then you get to investors. And eventually, of course, you get to the maximalists that think it's an instrument of economic empowerment. Regulatory signals matter. And we've got 28 spot Bitcoin ETFs active today. They're active in Australia, in Hong Kong. They're active in Europe. They're active in South America. They're active in America. Those things are marketing, legitimizing, and spreading, and they're creating a channel. An ETF is like a website. Like if you have a restaurant or a museum and you didn't have a website, people have to call you on the phone to get information. It's very inefficient. And then when the web came along, you create your website, museum.com, food.com. I hit the website, I see the menu, I see the location, I get directions, I see the photos. Maybe I order. Right now, you can't really be a business without a website. You need a website. With ETFs, what ETFs did is they said, well, it used to be you had to go to a mutual fund and it took you like 6 weeks to get KYC with the mutual fund, and then you had to study it, and then you had to wire them your money, and then they invested it, and if you wanted your money out, you had to make a request, and you had to wait 30 days, and maybe they don't give you your money back, and it's very complicated and scary and takes a commitment. And when the ETF came along, it was like, oh, you want this? You just punch in those 4 letters and hit buy. Oh, you change your mind? Hit sell. And who wired? Every brokerage in the world, every monitor in the world. It's like you type IBIT, you type FBTC, there it is. So having that ticker is like having the URL, hope.com. And it's like all you got to do is say it, and everybody immediately is empowered. So those ETFs, they're spreading everywhere in the world, and you're seeing financial infrastructure get created. And what's the impact of the on-ramp? Well, billions of dollars, and then tens of billions of dollars, then hundreds of billions of dollars flow. Companies like MicroStrategy, when we adopt Bitcoin as a treasury asset, we had none, and then we had 250 million, and then we raised 7 billion, and then we bought, and then we had 15 billion. But then people will go and they will short our stock, and they will buy 5 billion more. So there might be $20 billion, probably there's $20 billion or something like that of Bitcoin that's actually locked down because one company. What happens when the second company, the third company, the fourth company, the fifth company? So corporate adoption as a treasury asset drives the price up. Adoption by individuals drives the price up. There's company Millennium. They just announced they own $2 billion worth of spot Bitcoin ETFs. That means that the ETFs had to buy $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, right? Just one hedge fund, they've got $64 billion, right? As these hedge funds come in, then they drive adoption. So beyond that, you got to keep in mind it's a technology. And so you take out Cash App and look at it. It's all about Bitcoin. Cash App is used by more than 50 million people. And they sell $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin a quarter, $10 billion worth of Bitcoin a year or more via that phone. When companies like Apple and Google and Microsoft, when they build support for Bitcoin into their payment apps, into their mobile phones, into their operating systems, that makes Bitcoin more compelling. That'll drive demand. That'll drive up the price. And by the way, all of those are just natural things that the human race is going to do. You mention a driver, which is chaos and inflation in the world. Yes, that's a driver too. The more chaotic the society, the less, if I don't trust the currency, I look for an alternative one. If I don't trust the bank, I look for an alternative one. If you lived in Lebanon right now and you just watched 98% of your wealth frozen by the bank, debased, and then the bank wouldn't give you your money back for 20 years, and I said, well, what do you think about the idea of buying property that's not in Lebanon, that's not in the bank, that keeps going up in value, that you control, and that no one could take away from you? You would think, well, I wish I'd known that 5 years ago, but you would swear by it.
Technological integration is another key driver of Bitcoin's growth. Applications like Cash App, used by over 50 million people, facilitate Bitcoin transactions, making it more accessible. When major companies like Apple, Google, and Microsoft incorporate Bitcoin support into their payment systems, the demand for Bitcoin will surge, further driving up its price. This integration underscores Bitcoin's role as a compelling and innovative financial technology. Global economic conditions, particularly in regions with unstable currencies and high inflation, accelerate Bitcoin adoption. In countries like Lebanon, where the banking system has failed and inflation has eroded wealth, Bitcoin offers a safe and reliable alternative. Similarly, in Brazil and Venezuela, where people have experienced hyperinflation, Bitcoin is seen as a valuable asset. However, Saylor emphasizes that Bitcoin's appeal extends beyond crisis situations. It's a sound financial choice even in stable environments.
In those societies, crypto adoption accelerates. Go to Brazil, they had hyperinflation. They're very pro-crypto, pro-Bitcoin. And you look at people in Venezuela or Cuba, what else are they supposed to do? But I think it's important to make 2 points. One point is you don't need the world to burn for people to decide that having all their money on their iPhone is a good idea, right? The world doesn't have to burn for you to take photos with your iPhone. Apple would be successful regardless. It just happens, right, that the more chaotic certain parts of the world are, the more there's a stampede of capital toward the thing that's safe. Everybody would move to the United States with all their money if they could. Those altcoins are 10x to 100 to 1 levered. And so all the leverage is in the altcoins, and most of the volatility in Bitcoin comes from the altcoin leverage. The Bitcoin market isn't nearly that leverage. People that are buying Bitcoin as a long-term store of value. And so they're generally buying it to hold it forever. But there's a lot of speculation in the rest. And, you can't stop them. It's a free, unregulated market. They do what they're going to do. I'm not discouraged by the volatility in Bitcoin, because the volatility makes it the most interesting asset in the world. And that's what draws all the capital. And that's what draws all the traders. And that's what drives up the demand for it. And that's what drives up the price. So, in fact, the volatility is a virtue. On Saturday night, if you think there's a war, you're going to dump what you can sell, which is Bitcoin. But when you realize there isn't a war, you're going to buy back in, and there's going to be massive trading. And people that understand it are going to say, hey, that's part of the asset class just growing and getting more powerful. And people that are afraid of volatility will run from it. But, Bitcoin's got a higher Sharpe ratio. It's got and it's got a higher return. It's like, do you want to 5x your money and be on a volatile way? Or do you want to lose all your money in a non-volatile fashion? Or do you want to just 1x your money in a normal volatile fashion? And that's an issue of adoption or education. But coming back to long term, what happens is this is an idea whose time has come. It's good technology, so every technology investor and every technology executive is going to recognize that. It makes their company better. It makes their offering, their device or their service more compelling. It's good economics, which means that you inject it into your mutual fund or into your fixed income fund, or you inject it into your ETF, right? Larry Fink runs $10 trillion of assets. On television the other day, he said, our Bitcoin ETF is the most successful ETF in the history of the marketplace. Okay, so, people that might not have a different opinion say, this is good business. Why wouldn't it be good business? Because it's the highest quality asset.
Saylor addresses the issue of Bitcoin's volatility, which often deters some investors. He argues that volatility is a virtue, attracting capital and traders to the market, thereby increasing demand and driving up the price. While Bitcoin's market may experience fluctuations, its long-term trend remains positive, making it a compelling investment for those who understand its dynamics. Bitcoin's adoption will continue to grow as more people recognize its technological and economic benefits. Saylor points out that every technology investor and executive who understands Bitcoin's potential will advocate for its integration into their businesses. Additionally, financial leaders like Larry Fink of BlackRock have acknowledged the success of Bitcoin ETF, further validating Bitcoin's place in the global financial system. Please like and subscribe my channel.